To the show. Bass and Bonsai, back in the house. We were out on the water yesterday, not today. Today we did a little shopping. We're going to talk about that, but I wanted to talk about this reel first. The good, the bad, the ugly, right? Steez, HLC, hyper long cast. So I just want you guys to watch this spin. Like you see a lot of guys do this here and there and whatever, and talk about how well it's been, but hardly most people don't go out and fish with the reel that loose. Some of you may, I typically don't. My reels typically, once they're all set, they don't spin that freely for that long. Well, this reel I've found out over the weekend that I can turn it down, which I thought I could originally, but then I kept trying to turn it up to keep it from backlashing on the tail end. Well, that didn't really work. So what I was able to get out and do, what I figured out with this reel, like I talked about, and it's worked out pretty good. You just have to be a little careful. The good is it won't backlash on a very hard cast. So you won't lose baits, because we lost another bait and it wasn't because of this reel. My favorite reel in the world is horrible about losing baits because I get over zealous and carried away, and I cast extra hard, and another LV500 bit the dust. And the Quake 80 bit the dust. But the Quake 80 bit the dust because of the Steez limited shallow spool. The LV500 bit the dust because it got hung up too deep and my lure retriever sucks, and I've got to work on that. So this reel was working awesome though. I was casting hard and then just letting my thumb ride, not even really, just like as long as it's touching that spool, it won't backlash. As long as you can feel, like, it's just hard to explain. You'd have to get out there. This is definitely a reel I'll never recommend to a beginner. But if somebody, it's just like what it is. You want to cast real heavy baits, long distances, like the 3/4 ounce. Rattle traps, bigger, topwater type stuff, all that kind of stuff. Crazy cranker, good morning. It's night here. It's 7:30, 8 o'clock at night here. So anyway, this reel, I am definitely liking this reel. Now I got to figure out where to place it on what rod, what I'm going to throw, what I'm going to do. Because what it also is good at is, since I can have it set so loose and it's virtually free. As long as you don't cast real hard, there's almost no brakes on this thing. So it's all in wherever I want to adjust this to set it for once I get out, like doing little underhanded flipping, pitching, not skip. I'm not going to try to skip with this. This is not a reel you want to learn how to skip with. I mean, you probably can. Some of you guys are better than me. I would definitely not be trying to skip with this, but like just flipping it here and there. And I mean, you can skip it under stuff, once you get used to it, but trying to figure out what rod, where I want to utilize this. I'm probably going to leave that's an 18-pound braid. I've actually got some fluorocarbon I'm going to be talking about that's 20-pound. I'll probably leave the 18-pound and then like a 20-pound leader. And this will be just some of my heavier stuff, but I've got I still have another Daiwa reel coming, the Zillion 10 coming, that's a high-speed, 10-to-1 ratio that I kind of want for that. So I may end up having one on a heavier setup, one on a little bit lighter setup. That Zillion 10 I may actually end up using on a smaller, not necessarily my heaviest. This one may have end up with 20 or pound or more. This may be my just meanest all around, it's a Steez A. It's aluminum framed. It should be able to handle everything that the Zillion basically could. And the Zillion may become my smaller, a little bit lighter, close to the same. Yeah, Crazy Crank says he has a regular TW 8-to-1 reel. Had a bad backlash. Yeah, I say I use braid, and like the backlashing, I'm not really that big a deal. It's when it backlashes and it breaks off your bait, because I'm like, man, you throw $10, $15, $20. I'd hate to see the guys that are throwing $50, $100, $200 swim baits and having it happen, but what can happen with braid is there's no give. Even with the leader, like 6-foot leader isn't enough give. That braid, when it backlashes, it catches and it just stops. And so This reel doesn't do that, because when I cast hard, it doesn't do that. I'm having it happen. It's happened with everything. The Arise reel was probably the worst. If you guys remember me testing that reel, is kind of why I ended up selling to Charles. That reel casts very well, but if you get a little too antsy, it is so quick to just catch and break off. For whatever reason, my high dollar Steez is also like that. I feel, and I probably just need to go over there to it and go, you know, one click, and it would probably solve all my problems. I typically run just a touch looser than I should to get that, you know, freer casting feel and overall distance a little further if you don't get antsy with it when you're casting. That's what I like about this one. I can get antsy in my pantsy, and it does a little dancy. Yeah. So I'm liking this reel. Let's go on to what I probably will end up buying another reel or two before I know it, but trust me, I've calculated, and with the reels I already have, I need to find rods specific. Like, I've got the reels covered with the lingo variants, the couple Steezes I do have, and the Zillion 10 coming, and the Acura, and I've even got the Bantam still. And the Bantam's an awesome reel. I used it this weekend again. I put that Lose 95mm handle on it, felt good on it, was using it. Like, that reel also works very good, and I've got it set. It's a funny reel. You can set it, and let me get it. I'm going to show you guys real quick what I've found out. This reel, for how I fish, now you guys may be totally different. This Bantam reel is so touchy. You got this long movement here, but I can show you if it will focus. If you can see that there's a little dot, like right there is where you adjust by. And you see how it's not quite on the 3. So if I turn it, I don't even have to put it to, there's a 2. I don't even have to put it to 2.5. If I just turn it a little bit more, this thing will backlash and break off, or stands a chance of breaking off just so quick. But what I found is, and I've played with this and tested it, now I still can't, even it set this good, I can get better distance out of my Zillion. But this is right there close to it. And it's right there. If you go to 3, it slows it down too much. If I put it right dead on 3, I can almost feel like I can feel it restricting. And that's 2 brakes, or 2 of the brake or pads, or whatever you want to call them, on inside and 2 off. But right there is the sweet spot. You can almost feel it. Like, I can cast as hard as I want to, and you can tell I got a little funky there on one of the last casts. But anyway, it really likes it right there for the way I cast, like hard. When I put a hard cast in, it'll still handle it and it won't backlash. Now, some of you guys could probably go to 2.5 with 2 on, 2 off and never have an issue with it backlashing. It has 20-pound braid, but it's not all the way full. This is is this 34 or 35? I think it's 34. The newer one has a 36 also on it. This guy has a 36mm, and it's not full. And I don't plan on filling it up. It does what I want it to do, right about where it's at right now. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. This reel, though, I kind of like it with that handle. Like, it goes out there and it does everything you want it to do. It's a touch heavier, but I had it on, what did I have this on? 6.9 medium. It feels good, like for chatterbaits or whatever you want to use it for, really. It's capable of handling any of your regular bass fishing. So let's move the reels, hang on, out of the way, and let's go on with what now I'm going to talk about what we did fishing. So I threw off the Quake 80. I still have one, but it's actually for Charles. It's sitting up here with stuff that needs to go to Charles. Went fishing with Matt Saturday, roughly morning. Well, we started out in the morning, 9 a.m. roughly. We were planning on getting on the water. You'll see in the video, I haven't edited any of that. I still haven't edited footage from 2 weeks ago. I've been kind of slacking off there. But we started out in a pontoon boat that was made in, it's a 2013 pontoon boat, and guess what year the trolling motor batteries are? You guessed it, Interstate 2013, when we lifted the seat up, and that's why they were dead as a doornail. So luckily, Matt has Hannah, who ran right on up to the deal and picked up 2 new batteries, and so we had to wait for her to get back. And anyway, long story short, we didn't catch any fish until she got back. We were just kind of out drifting around using the big motor to like get somewhere and then drift for a while, and bite was tough. But we managed to fish from, I think we actually probably started more like 11, something like that. So we fished roughly 3 hours and caught, I think I caught 4. They caught, I think Hannah caught the biggest. She caught like a 3.5, almost 4 pounder on a color that I struggle with on a square bill. Chartreuse black back. You guys, I've always heard people talk about how good that bait works. I struggle with that color. Well, as you're going to find out here, after watching Hannah catch the biggest fish of the day on that color, I picked one up. Again, I've had them before. It's kind of like my Fire Tiger. I can watch Charles tear him up on Fire Tiger. I can catch him somewhat on Fire Tiger. I am not a big fan of Fire Tiger. But anyway, that just goes to show you, like, certain people have certain... yeah, the Crazy Cranker. If you don't know the story, I call her Crazy Lose Lady. I messaged Lose about wanting to buy one of those, and they just sent me one. This lady just... She's like, what's your shipping address? And boom, one popped up in the mail. I'm like, holy cow. Like, I didn't even pay for it. I didn't even send her any warranty info. Like, I'd had a reel that mine broke. I just told her I wanted to get one. It was insane. So anyway, what was I talking about? So yeah. Of course, Matt called himself, he was just a guide. I think I caught the first fish, maybe the first 2. No, wait, I caught the first one, and then Hannah, because she threw right where I caught the first one on the LV500 in the TO crawl. Actually not far off the bank, and it was a nice chunk. Hannah threw, like, as we probably drifted or had moved to trolling, you know, slowly, probably 20 foot. Basically, the front of the boat was 20 foot away from where I was casting, but I was casting further towards the bank. And when the boat was, like, her... You know, she was on the back of the, we're in a pontoon boat, she's on the back, and when it came to that, she threw straight to bank wire. She saw me catch that fish, and bam, she pulled a big one out of there. And I, you know, me and my taking time to show you guys, and I stopped and took pics. I didn't cast back to that exact spot real quick, and that is a big thing for you guys. If you're taking pics or whatever you're doing, is to get back out there. You know, that's what's a good thing about if you have like a live well, you know, take that fish. If it's a nice one or the first one, you want to, you know, make sure you get a pic of it or something. A lot of times throw right back. There could be this another, you know, bass typically run together, right? What Lose reel are you talking about? The new one? In my opinion, I'm just not going to spend, if you guys are talking any of the Lose reels, the high-end Lose reels, just in my opinion, I'm not going to spend that much money on them if they're close to like what the megabass, well, when megabass had a bunch of different reel options, but like the Daiwa or even Shimano for that matter, because the Daiwa Steez holds its value. It just does. Like, you can look on eBay, all beat up and scratched ones are still selling for like $250, $300. The Lose reels typically value drops. Yeah, the Lose Elite, Rogers has been trying to sell me one up there for $400. They're regularly $500. They'd had 20% off on all their Lose stuff for like 2 weeks. I don't know. I kind of wanted to buy one, but man, it's a lot of money to try, then find out. You know, I might love the reel, but what if I don't? And then I spent $500. I guarantee you I won't be able to get my money back out of that reel. If I keep the Steez Limited in good shape for what I gave for it, I'll be able to sell that for what I gave for it whenever I come time to sell it. That's just kind of how I am. That's why I buy high gear ratios. High gear ratio reels just sell faster. They might not sell for any more money, but when you're ready to get rid of it, there's somebody there to buy a high-speed gear ratio reel. Once you start going down, it's harder to sell a 7-to-1 and then a 6-to-1. Like, it's just harder to sell the slower speeds. Them higher speeds, maybe they don't sell as many. I have no idea what the science is behind that, but I've always found when I go to, whether I'm looking for a used one or whether I'm trying to sell a used one, the high-speed chicken fried steak and Crazy Cranker are both in the house. I feel like bad. My name's just Bass and Bonsai or Charlie. I need to change it. Chatterbait Charlie, right? I didn't even buy any chatterbaits today. Wow, what is wrong with me? I'm slacking. I almost did. Almost bought. They had them on sale too. I was at, okay, so let me finish. All right, guys, stop messaging me. Chicken fried steak. Let me talk about and finish the story. So Matt and them had a pool tournament to go to and be there by like 3 o'clock. I didn't know this until we were already like 11 something on the water and we just started fishing. But I'm like, okay, we got 3 hours. We caught 6 or 8 fish. I caught, let me tell you what I caught them on. I caught mine on the LV500 TO Crawl. Hannah caught hers on, I believe it was a Strike King. It may have been some other brand. I think it was just a 1.5. I don't think it was a 2.5. And then I caught another one, but it wasn't as, or did I catch another good one? On the, I caught 2 on the TO Crawl. Holy cow, I'm losing my mind. I forget what I caught. I caught 4, I think. What did I catch the other ones on? I should really leave baits out until I do a story on them. Anyway, I caught 4. Matt did catch 1. He was throwing an A-rig. I threw everything out. I threw, once I saw Hannah catch that one on a square bill, guess what I was throwing? I was throwing, stuck with the rattle trap and a square bill, and I think I briefly tried my chatterbait there, but we were at Lafayette Lake is where we were. So then I went to Odessa Reservoir after we dropped all, they dropped me basically back off and put everything up. So I was like, well, I still have several hours. It was only like 2:30. So I made it basically by 3 o'clock on the reservoir and fished till about 6 for 3 hours. And I did manage to catch 3 fish. I caught one on, I believe it was LV500 again, before I lost it. And then I caught 2, believe it or not, on chatterbait. On my AliExpress knockoff one, the one that's got a lot of green on it. Basically this, like this color one. Kind of like the Beehite Delight, but a more intense color. I caught, wind was blowing up in the shallow, kind of a real shallow flat area. Kind of like the black and blue I went on fire at the same place, the reservoir. And I'm pulling up grass. There's like grass is already at the reservoir. So, you know the deal. I don't care that water, and the water temps were around 45 to 47. I think it was 45 and 6 while I was fishing with Matt. And then at the other place, the reservoir, it was warmer. And it was, yesterday was about, it said it was 60 degrees. It felt a little chillier than 60 degrees, but it was a touch on the windy side, like 8 to 10 mile an hour winds. So anyway, I think grand total I caught 7 or 8, and they caught another 4 or so. So not a bad day, but we did not get on any fish anywhere, any kind of bite. There are other boats out now, so at the reservoir, I don't know how many people have been there before. I got there like at 3 o'clock. There were already three boats out, and then another 1 or 2 came up while I was there. And it's not a very big place, but I didn't really see any. I couldn't find any fish out, on my side scan, or I could find a couple different pods of bait fish, but I think all the fish are starting to spread out there, and it's kind of grassy. It's hard to run. I was trying to run, some rattle traps and even swimming jigs. Could not run. I tried briefly on the LV500. I caught 1 on the steeper rocky side, but there seemed to be no activity going on over there. That was a non-windy side. Then the shallow side of the reservoir is where the wind was blowing, so I decided to just go over there and try stuff that could run shallower. So I went to like a 1/2 ounce rattle traps and chatterbaits, and one thing I did not break out was a spinnerbait. I did not even try a spinnerbait yesterday. So anyway, they were sort of biting, but one thing I guess I'll talk about real quick, and because Eugene mentioned this. I am not breaking out a spinning rod because I do not own a spinning rod. Yeah, I don't plan on changing my name. But, so let's get on to the unboxing. So, what I'm going to try to do is a couple things. I've decided, I tried to go today, and I tried to get bougie. I tried to go on Hookup Tackle and get into that Bento box, right? Any of you guys ever even heard about that, in on that, or whatever? And, comment if you guys get that. Because I'm going to just tell you that that's something I would never do if I didn't have a channel just to be able to talk about it. And yeah, possibly, you know, I think what most people do that get that box are either A, to collect the megabass hard baits, or B, to sell the megabass hard baits, and then they just probably get their money back out of that and then have some soft plastics or whatever. But the if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically a high-end JDM box you get from the Hookup Tackle. And if you've never been to the Hookup Tackle on their YouTube, I recommend going there and just checking out, like, because the dude is very knowledgeable. If you guys don't know him, Ben, on, you know, megabass stuff, what it does, what it's intended for, and, you know, goes through in a lot of his videos explaining it. But in my opinion, you need some megabass stuff, but you don't have to. You know, you can go out there and catch largemouth bass on very cheap, inexpensive stuff, or you can go bougie, you know, whatever you can afford. You might go bougie and get you, you know, high-end lures, and that's bougie for you, or go full-on megabass, right? Daiwa megabass. If I would have got that box, if I'd have got in on the subscription, and it's one of those like you can get in and you can drop it anytime. Actually, if you don't sign back up, like they send you a thing, if you don't send payment that month, I guess there's a little week or 2 week period they give you to pay. If you don't, then they just drop you off the subscription, then somebody else will be assigned. It's not really one like you're annually, you're going to be stuck to it. It's hard to get out of. That's why it kind of made sense to me. Like, well, jump on there. It's $105. They give you $100 worth of baits, and he's actually starting now. The extra $5 is going towards a charity kind of thing, which is a good deal. Yes, you're going to get a bunch of junk. Just same thing with the mystery tackle box, the lucky tackle box. You're going to end up with a bunch of extra junk tackle that you don't even use, whether if it's expensive or not. We all end up with it. We all end up, if you're tackle junkies, you end up with, whether it's $5, $50 baits, you end up with cheap junk to you that you just don't care to use. Either it's too hard to work, fish doesn't get hooked up, or you're kind of like me. Sometimes you're just too afraid to use it because you're going to lose it, right? So you can only use so many Pop Maxes for sure. Now the 110s, I could see where getting one of those, but you're talking 12 a year. And I honestly, you could... Vision 110s, you probably only need 3 or 4. Now, if you lose one, but they're actually a hard bait to lose. I'm not saying you can't. Pop Max is a very hard bait to lose. I've managed to lose one in the time I've owned 4 or 5, I think, over the years. I have managed to lose one. Fish broke me off and wouldn't spit it back out. It's that dirty dog. But I have had a Pop X come back to me because the fish jumped up and spit it out after the line broke. So, we didn't get in on that. I'm debating on, here's what I'm going to try to do. I was going to go, if you guys follow the channel, you know I like shorter rods than 7 foot. I'm not the typical go out there, oh, you need a 7'3" heavy action for chatterbaits, Charlie. It needs to be glass. No, that ain't me. I found out the 6'9", the Carbon Light 2.0s, I found out they're awesome for moving baits. I'm finding out they're not so good for bottom contact. Even if you use braid, they work, and I've had decent luck. But that 7 foot heavy isn't as sensitive as I would like it to be. So I'm searching for another option, and I'm thinking the Super Destroyer. I keep hearing a few different guys talk about it. What I've just talked about him, Ben from the Hookup Tackle. Of course, he's pushing it, trying to sell it, right? But still, he's got pretty good knowledge on what he's explained and talked about in rods and reels. Makes sense. Same thing with, if you guys don't follow Tactical Bassin, they, you know, are knowledgeable and know what they're talking about. Now, they haven't really talked about the actual Super Destroyer itself, but it's kind of known that this P5 lineup, it's the 5 different, the way that the graphite is wrapped up, they tend to be not as stout as the older ones or your typical rods are. Like the Jig Worm rods from the NRX lineup, or just all of the G Loomis ones, they typically are, you know, they're not going to be as good for moving. They're bottom contact, very sensitive for that. But if you guys also know, or are in the know, that St. Croix is kind of known for being a little more, not really true moderate, but they're just a little more give in their rods, right? And I like that. I'm the type, I like to get a rod that can cover. I'm hardly ever, even though I found this one I really like for chatterbaits, I think it's real good for a lot of other stuff. I'm still looking for a jerkbait rod, but that thing is almost impossible to find one that I really like. I'm just sticking with the contest one I got right now. It's a 6'8" medium, or is it medium light? I think it's a medium light. It fishes more like a medium though, but it feels pretty good. It's the best thing I've found so far. Chicken Fried Steak says his local reservoirs. I guess I should talk about that too. We've gotten lucky. Our waters now seem to be full, but it's fairly clear. We were actually amazed. Went to Lafayette Lake, and it was down last year, and so it's up maybe 2 foot. Like the stump field, if you guys remember, we went through there, and I talked about Matt's boat was dragging some of the stumps. They're like almost all gone now. They're about a foot or so underwater, so you can kind of just go through there. You don't have to be as careful right now. So Lake Lafayette is definitely full to max. It's going over the spillway, but it's clear. Like I can't believe how clear. It's like 6 to 8 foot visibility. You know, it's kind of slightly stained, but you can see down deep. Like it's pretty good. I don't even know what hover strolling is. I think I've heard the term, but I've got plenty of BFS gear. Crazy Cranker says price point for rods is 200 max. Hello, Eddie. Eddie's in on the PAL rods. I think I owned one PAL rod. I can't remember. Man, my memory. As you get older, your memory does fade. The stupid thing is, I will remember stuff that has nothing to do that you shouldn't remember, and I will remember crazy stuff. But anyway, the my limit for a rod used to be way lower than what it was for a reel. But if you guys remember, I had the NRX rods, and I just bought those really for the channel, the whole stimulus money and all that. And I'm like, I just do something with it. I just, got the NRX rods. I don't miss those rods other than I wouldn't mind. I should message Jeremy and ask him if he wants to send me one of the 802Cs back. Just because it was an awesome, for that higher end BFS, or like a shaky head. The 16th ounce shaky head, I don't know if I've felt a better rod. The Tatula was right there with it, and it was a $75 rod. The solid tip Tatula you guys heard me talking about. But that 802C was very good for good hook sets, good sensitivity filling on a shaky head bite, but yet like a fun battle once you got a fish, no matter the size. That just made that rod fun. The 90 or the 803C, I never did like that reel. I had an Aldebaran on it the whole time, the Aldebaran 30 MGL. That rod and reel combo just set because I always had funner stuff that I liked using over that. Oh, a Crazy Cranker must have bought. Yeah, that's. I lost money on the NRX rods because I bought short rods. And that's one thing. Like since I like stuff kind of out of the norm for a lot of stuff, I don't like to spend too much money because you go try to resell a rod. First of all, shipping will eat you up on any kind of profit, so you're only going to maybe try to get some of your money back if you get a rod you don't like or sell it locally. So then reels, I just found I'm more into like mechanical stuff. So like the mechanics and how smooth and just how they work. So that's where I love a good feeling. It doesn't have to be expensive. That's one thing I will say, and Jay talked about it and mentioned, and that's the only reason I bought it. The Arise reel is a very refined filling reel as far as everything else other than the casting. In my opinion, the casting feels a little wild to me. The way I cast kind of harder. It's like you got to crank the brakes to settle that spool down. It's a real lightweight spool. It feels, in my opinion, it's kind of weird why it carries over like it does. I don't know, but it does cast good once you adjust the brakes down a little bit. But I've had you guys on here, different subscribers have asked me, in as far as refinement feel, there's no comparison, in my opinion, to like the Habo, the Xinghe, these brands that are CDM, right? I'm not talking about a Daiwa reel that is coming from China, from AliExpress, but like the CDM ones that are basically, that's the only place you can find them. The Arise, I've yet to find a reel that feels as good as that reel did. That reel does, it's like top notch right there. But it's not a BFS reel. You can throw lighter weight stuff because it's got a lightweight spool. But that is not a BFS reel. The Acuras, the Lingle itself, now there's Lingle variants, they're not really true BFS reels either. They're just kind of all around. But like the Acura and the Micro Monster are still BFS reels that also come with the deeper lightweight spool that you can throw regular baits too. They're smaller graphite framed reels, carbon, plastic, whatever you want to call them. So you got to be careful. They can only go so high up in line size or power because you can literally rip that. Just like if you took a Black Max, one of the best reels ever made for cheap, right? 40, 50 bucks. You go too heavy a line, put that thing on a big swim bait, or bigger, heavier, extra heavy rod, you can literally rip it right off. I've seen guys rip aluminum reels out of the reel seats by going too crazy. So that's the only limit to some of these, graphite, plastic, whatever you want to call them, reels coming from AliExpress. But if you're using them for BFS, you're fine. Now the Arise reel is an aluminum reel that could go around. So when guys are asking me, should I get this or that? You're not really even in the same ballpark. You shouldn't even be thinking, what are you wanting to use it for? Like if I had to pick a reel to go on AliExpress to fish everything in heavier, like 15 pound and up, 20 pound, 30 pound braid, the Arise reel would be my pick. If I go in BFS only, Dark Wolf Ultra or the Black Knight 2. If I want just an all around, I'm going to go up to 15 pound, but I want to get down there in the 4 or 6 pound and do some ultralight BFS fishing. That's where the Acura and the Dark Wolf Ultra come in. Or not Dark Wolf Ultra, the Acura and the Micro Monster. Because they can do all that kind of stuff. Same thing on, like rods. When people ask me of different rods and stuff, and reels, like some of these real cheap ones I've recommended, they're okay, but they're nothing like, you're not gonna, like, in my opinion, the only one would be and it's still sitting over there, I haven't even used it in forever, is the oh boy, I can't even think of the name of that now. The Ace Hawk CU Double. That 6-foot rod is just a cool BFS, lightweight, ultralight. And it comes with ultralight and a light tip, 6 foot, 30, under 40 bucks. The reel to really, that green one I talked about, and it's still on there. There's still reels on AliExpress for like 20 bucks. They'll get you by if you're buying them for a kid or if you're just starting out or you just want to throw around reel and you're really on a tight budget. You just need another reel to get something done. Then those cheaper reels may get the job done. That green one, I still have it sitting here right now. I don't even use it for anything other than to hold line. Stuck a handle on it. I stole something off. Oh, I stole the clicker out of it. But I still have this reel. I don't even hardly use it. I'd had it on that, I have it on the, the bass one, street bass rod. But somebody had asked me about this. It comes with the drag clicker and it's like 20 bucks. The drag clickers are 12 to 15 to 20 something. So if you can utilize a drag clicker in something else, which I haven't figured out what I'm going to put it in, but I just use it to put this line on. But it's a touch bigger. It's shaped just like what the Cast King reel was, but it actually is just a little bit bigger than it is. So anyway, let's get to the unboxing and then we can talk about other stuff, whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm excited to open some baits. Who wants to open some baits? Let's smell the new on these baits. Hang on. Yeah, Eddie says he's going on 45. Oh, it'll be 45 again, Eddie. 51. Actually, I feel just as good now as I did when it was 45. Had the G Loomis GLX crankbait rod and thought it was crap. Oh yeah, Mark. The spring, yeah, right underneath this table, there's a leg right here. It was sitting right beside. You know how that stuff does. It just ends up right beside. It was right beside the leg, so it must have bounced off, hit me somewhere that I couldn't feel because it's so small, and then shot down was laying right beside the leg of this table. So yeah, I got all those put back together and no issues or whatever. But yeah, that was funny. That what a night. What a night that was. Yeah, I'd had that happen to me. Crazy Cranker says, if you find something you like, buy two. Really, they're just, I don't know. Back when I was into fly fishing, I bought it used, but I bought I want to say it was a GL2. It was a black 8 foot Loomis 8 weight fly rod. Man, that thing was just awesome. It just, like, it was a perfect fly rod for, I was throwing bass like that, the deer hair poppers and different, the little, like, you could use the rabbit. It was basically worms, it had like whatever weight on the head, and it was just a long little cut out chunk of rabbit fur, and red and black or whatever colors. I'd throw those with it, and it was just an awesome rod. It was light, it felt good, and of course I don't even remember how it broke, but it broke. And so I, contacted them, and I didn't act like I was original or anything. I said, I got this rod, it broke. I need to, it cost me something. I can't remember what it was, but I want to say for like $100, they sent me a brand new rod. Problem was, they had upgraded over the years because this was an older one. The You said GL2 today, yeah. The older, I like the older Loomis rods better. I don't know if you guys remember the reel seat I'm talking about. It kind of had a humped up back to it. This on a bait casting rod. I think it was GL2s had that like humped up. It just, that reel seat felt very good. And I liked I can't remember which one of those I had. I had something of those, but the one I used a warranty on was the fly rod, and that sucker, they sent me, I want to say it was green. It was either GLX or something. It had changed. I didn't like it. It felt, in my opinion, it was nowhere near as lightweight. It may have been more capable or something, whatever the newer technology, but it just didn't have that it factor that I felt that 8 weight GL2 did. That thing was just awesome. And I find, like, me and Charles the same way. A lot of rods, I like the older, I guess back when, before graphite got as, like, sensitive and stiff as what it is nowadays. Like, when some of that stuff, just like what the Tettons are, they're made of that older 24 ton or whatever, but they were higher end, more quality went into them to make it out of that material. Because, like, if you find a cheaper rod now made out of that, it's a whole different process of how they make it. Like, they're not worried about how they wrap it, I guess. Maybe they wrap it with thicker stuff. I don't know. It just tends to not be as nice as what some of them older rods were. And you can still come across older rods on eBay that just have that little sweet feel to them. I had an old Ender's rod that felt pretty good. It was 6'6" though. It was too short. It needed to be at least a 6'9". I'm a weird. 7-foot rods feel too long. 6'6" rods feel too short unless they're into this, like, BFS, a very light or ultralight. Then they need to be, that I don't like them once they're longer than, say, 6 foot. Some of those rods feel too noodly. So I'm very kind of selective on when it comes to that, right? Bougie, maybe. The higher end stuff seems to feel better. And there's no line. If I could afford it right now, I would buy the whole P5 lineup of the rods that are under 7 foot, because they got the biggest range. Like most companies that are putting out rods that are in between, say, 6'6" and 7 foot, are right here. There's 1, 2, or 3 rods. Like, there's a little window. Their lineup has 1, 2, or 3 rods that are in between that. Like, everybody makes a 7, 7'1", 7'3", 7'6", 7'8", 7'11", 9 foot, 12 crappie rods are, like, insanely. But megabass has always had that, the JDM. There's a bunch of rods in that, up to 6'9", 6'11", and then down to like 6 foot. Like, I believe you could, at one time, you may be able to now, you could get a 6 foot heavy. Because back in the day, way back when, here in the States, I remember, like, when I first kind of started or looking into like bass fishing, you know, they were like, I think everybody around here, or me anyway, were using like 5'6" pistol grip bait casting rods. And if you went, and everybody, that's kind of where I got it too. Is like everybody threw heavier baits. Like hardly anybody around here. If you used a crappie or a spinning reel, we basically were crappie fishing, and bait casters is what we used to bass fish with, and we just threw heavier baits. And right. So let's get to this unboxing, and then we'll go. It's not really an unboxing, unpackaging. So the first thing I did was, I'd already bought one of these a while back. I bought me another one of these. And if you guys don't know the deal at Bass Pro Shops, this bag, which folds out into being a nice, awesome tackle box, really, if you just add some storage deals, $12.98 or whatever. So if you want to go to their website, if you guys are thinking about getting these, because what you can do, because this was like 12, let's just call it $13. And then for another $13, you can get 4 of these. And guess how many of these? These are the 3600, I think. You can fit 3 inside this, and then 1 on the outside. And you basically have a tackle box with, you know, 4 of these. I already have 1 over there with filled full of soft plastics, and 1 like this that I got from Charles and Big A's. When the Big A deal went down, Charles gave me some Big A baits to try out. So I'm gonna reorganize basically using this, and it didn't cost me a ton. Like, what's funny is if you go up there at the Bass Pro here, they have all these bags. You can get them multiple colors. They got like this light gray with the baby blue, kind of olive green, almost black, but it had a big Bass Pro thing on it, so I didn't really want to get that dark gray, almost black, and then like a orangish colored one. So I'd already bought a camo one, so I just got another camo, olive drab color, whatever one. And I bought 4 of these, but I only bought 3 of these since I already have a couple of these other ones floating around. So what I bought was, they were 3 for $12. So I bought 3 of the regular size ones. These are the regulars. 36, I believe. I call regular size. That's what my tackle bags I've got. Each one of mine holds 6 of those, so I have 12 of those already in my regular stuff I use. So then I bought the bigger one, the 3700. I don't know if I'm gonna cut all this out, but basically this is gonna be my day box. Even though I don't have a bass boat, I'm not in bass tournaments, this is gonna be at some point, this is just what, like when I'm, like now tonight, I'm preparing for the next time I go fishing, what I think they'll be hitting on when I do finally rig up, you know, some baits. And so I'll probably keep it in 2. I'll take this one out and this one out. And I basically have stuff rigged up, even with, because what I'm finding out is I can rig them up in plastics, like trailers, but as long as they're not, first of all, salted, or if they're not in there for too long, I can have them rigged up and ready to go, and I use snap, so then I really can just kind of live out of this day box, right? Because it's just like what they call it. So I'm going to try to utilize that and try to utilize less rods, but more baits just out and ready instead of worried about it, because I've been out fishing. When you have, in my opinion, you can have too much tackle. You get out there and you'll get done fishing, like especially when you're on a little 2 or 3 hour window, and you'll go home and you'll go, I didn't even throw this, that, you know, you'll list off all these things. So if you already have it in your head of things you want to try, gonna try, put them into something like this is what I'm going to try to start doing, utilizing. So I got those, and not that much money. So we need more stuff to put in them, right? Right, we're getting to that. So on this whole rod and reel thing and what can cast and what can't, I found this, Bass Pro had it for $12.99. So it's in feet. Now, yeah, what it's for, these are, I believe these are so if you're trolling or whatever, you can put the line on and you're feeding the line out. You know, you hit the button and let the bait, whatever, and you can go, oh, I want it to go out 20 foot, 40 foot, whatever. But you just turn them around, and you can reel it in the same way as like the other one. We had the other one that came from AliExpress, and they sell them on Amazon. But so we got this one. It can go in feet. Should be a little more accurate than meters or yards. And we're just going to try it. It's $12 and something, so we're going to try that. Hopefully I didn't waste my money on this, because if I just do not like fishing with the fluorocarbon, I like braid to leader typically, I can use this for as just leader material for my 20-pound braid that I have, is my plan. So it's 26 bucks, 165 yards. I'm going to try it on one reel. I'm not even sure which one yet. I'm not going to do it on the HLC. I'll probably do it on the Zillion. The Zillion's one of the most, in my opinion, overbraked that I have. I'm only on 3 or 4. Like 4 is kind of my max. If I go to 5, I can definitely tell I'm like losing too much distance. So that makes sense to put this line, which will be a heavier line. Probably have to turn the brakes up to like 5, 6, possibly 7 or something, maybe even up to 8. Who knows? But then, you know, straight fluorocarbon, just to, and then figure out what rod I want to put it on and try it. Maybe I'll stick it on my 6'9", throw chatterbaits. Definitely moving type stuff. I'm not gonna, my bottom bouncing, I'm sticking 100% with braid. Now, if you guys are wondering why, like, why even bother, why even try, I'm just going off of, I've heard a few rumors, and it could be rumors or it could be the truth, that your when you fish with braid and you're using moving baits, especially the faster you're moving them or going through the water, that braid makes a noise that can definitely be heard coming through the water. So, you know, I don't know at what angle, or, you know, how much of an angle you have to be, how far deep a bait is, and you're reeling to where it makes even more noise, or if you're holding your rod down and you're basically the braid's coming, you know, basically I don't know any of the science on it, but like, say if I'm coming straight back at me, at what speed, you know, where there's the noise, you know, if I throw something out on bottom, and then when I start reeling, if I start coming out fast, like say if the rattle trap, and so I just start kind of fast moving on the bottom, can that braid be heard? Does it even matter? Will it scare fish? I don't even know. I couldn't tell you, but I've heard that that's a thing. Braid can make like a noise coming through the water. I don't know what speed or what angle where it could matter, but I've heard that fluorocarbon or any of your regular, you know, line that isn't braid doesn't do that. So just kind of, and I've also heard that this is just better for certain things. We're going to find out, because what I found out in all the years when I fished any regular line other than braid, none of them are as good as using braid to a leader. Worst case scenario though, I have 165 yards of 20-pound leader material to go with my 20-pound. Where's my 20-pound? To go with my Probero's 20-pound 8-ply camo, right? But we're gonna rig it up on one. I'm still not even. Can't rig it up on the shallow spool Steez, because it would cast from about 20-pound would cast about 25 foot, and then I'd be out of line. Maybe a little further than that, but not a long ways. So we're going to give that a shot. Now, let's go with... So I'm definitely going to order one more LV 500 in the TO Crawl. I already have a red one that's very close that is still my favorite color, but that TO Crawl, I just have to get that color in, because I've caught fish every time I went fishing until I lost that bait, basically. And I mean, I caught fish on other stuff, but yeah, that color and the LV 500 definitely work. So I bought the 1.5 a while back. This is the 2.5 in, right? I had to get the TO Crawl. So we're going to give the 2.5s a shot, and I'll go more into that on why I picked Lucky Craft. Is it just because of the awesome colors? Maybe. So I got basically crawdad color, bluegill color, white color. If you remember right, I got that other, in the 1.5s, I got the TO Crawl already in a 1.5, and then a different white. I wanted to try this one. It's got a little purple back. And I'll read the names off to you and let you guys see them. MS Impulse Shad. So I like that color. I call it like the clown. Any of those that got that, like a little orange up there on the belly, got that yellow head, like I've got a few of those jerk baits. I just call that a clown color. Like anytime there's just a few different little multiple hits of colors on that, it's got a little bit of flash, but it's kind of a white crankbait, right? And then of course, bluegill. This one kind of looked the best to me. BE gill. Looks like a, it just looks like a good color that should work, right? A little orange on that belly. Nothing too flashy. Just in 2.5. These are all silent. So I think they're all silent. They should be. Let's just open them up. Let's just. We should. And I got one more. Let's just double check. Hook ourselves. Ow. No wait, this one ain't silent. Yeah, it is. No, it didn't. Maybe the 2.5's got a little slight rattle to them. Okay. Okay, so this one does. They got a slight little something. Let's check them all. I think they all do. Now, I'm pretty sure my 1.5s. You're gonna have to. I'm gonna make me get my 1.5s out. I myself like rattling baits. My favorite little bitty one, the Dig It, is definitely a rattler. Let's check this one. Now the hooks, I always just fish whatever hooks they got. I'm not a tournament fisherman, so big 5-pounder jumps and spits it out. I cuss and holler and then. Okay, wait a minute. Now see, we got a silent. I know, I should read the package better, right? So that sucker is definitely silent. This one definitely got a little rattle. Silent. Ah, sharp hooks. What? Let me see the difference here. Let me look. Nope. Hang on. What? Huh. 5/8. I'm trying to look. Do you guys see? Because this dude rattles. Or like a 1-knock. I'm trying to look and see what I missed on the... So that's the one that's got a rattle. Oh my God, focus. So 5-foot depth. They weigh the same, 5/8 ounce. There it goes. I don't see anything that tells me. 137 teal craw, 269 BE gill. That is weird. Packaging looks the same. Made in Japan. Fishing. I guess it's just luck of the draw, right? I don't know. I still don't see anything that would tell you that one's what over the other. Look, we got one left. This one, this is the color, but it looked cool, right? It's chartreusey, just a touch orange, black back, right? And the Strike Kings and most other ones, they're not quite this cool. This is a cooler one. I'm hoping it's got just a touch of a rattle like that other one. No, it's quiet too. Oh man. Oh well. So this one, I just saw this. It's what made me buy the rest of them. I'm like, we're just going to go try 2.5s out. This sucker just looked good. Now the other ones, one had like a straight line crackle and the other one wasn't crackled as much, but it just looks cooler. And it's hard to see it in person. It's a yellow, almost a chartreuse, not quite, like it's close. I don't know, I just like, this color spoke to me more than any other of chartreuse blackback square bill I've ever seen. So we're hoping to do good with this one, but also upsizing our game to 2.5s. I've really never went on a 2.5 game. I've always been, well, speaking of the clown, like look at that dude, see? He's got that yellow around the eyes, a little bit of yellow there, orange up on the thing. I've always called this, I don't even know what color that is in RC sticks, but I call it the clownfish. Same thing with this dude. Kind of almost the same kind of deal. Oh, nobody makes noises. You guys hear that? Maybe I got a... Oh man, maybe this is an expensive one. That's definitely got like a one knocker in there. All right, let's continue on. How long is it? Oh my God, we've almost been an hour. I haven't even got to my Strike King baits. So, while I was there, and this is a good color. I like this color. This color, just a teal crawl. And you can, right now, the LV500, I need to hurry up and get on there and buy a couple, or at least one more. They're still like on sale, 13 bucks for the LV500. These are only $7, like $7.50. The Strike King 2.5s are like $6.90. Like, these are a touch more than the Strike Kings. And the color, just in itself, the patterns are more, I don't know, like refined, just a fancier look to me. But I was over there, I just was glancing at the Strike Kings, and I'm like, you know what? These colors look cool. That looks like, it's a crawdad color, but it looks like flames. It just had a fire look to it. And it's got the little eyes on the back. And this is a rattling one. I saw the regular one, and I looked over, they had this in the rattling version. So I got the 2.5. Because it's basically a TO crawl in a Strike King that rattles. So we got the noise, right? Very close. Like, a fish isn't going to be able to tell the difference other than this one rattles and this one's silent. Just to give them that. And then I've got, you know, a bunch of others. Now, that bite may be totally about done till next spring. But I spotted it in a little dude too. So I just was like, I got to get him. Got to get it, right? Dude, this thing is too quiet. Come on. Oh my God. Hang on. Wait a minute here. Okay, there it goes. So, little 1.5. That color's just cool. Those eyes will probably fall right off, but it is a good color. It's got a little bit of green metal flake in there. It's just a good looking color, I think. Of course, I may be partial now that the LV500 and this TO crawl, which is about the same exact colors, almost, I mean, very close. So yeah, got those, got these. The only other, we kind of almost have the colors covered right there. So then, last but not least, if you guys remember right, I got a couple Roccos, right? I got a Rocco in like a root beer crawdad because it also could imitate a bass. And then I got a Rocco, of course, I'm in this crazy red and orange and yellow belly craws. And then, so I figured, why not get them in the OG Slims, right? Well, I was kind of debating on not even getting these, but these right now are on sale, so I picked up another one too, this color. Bass Pro had these for $4.98, so half price basically. These are $10 baits. So I picked up 3, 15 bucks. And so now I've got 2 of the same color in the Rocco 5s or whatever they are, which is a regular square bill balsa, and then the Slims, and then this color just kind of has a, it should work. Not quite a clown, more like a chartreusey, root beery, greeny, white bellied, whatever it call it. So anyway, as you can see, guess what? My square bill box was totally full. That's part of why we got the other box. We're going to branch out. So what I'm going to do is my BFS stuff is coming out of my regular tackle. It's going off into one of these other bags to where I'm going to branch out my square bill. I'm going to have basically anything smaller than the 1.5, maybe even the flats or the more specific BFS type square bills. I probably have that in a separate deal. But I'm probably going to put all of the 2.5s, the S cranks, and that kind of stuff, my big square bill game, in its own separate one of these smaller deals, and then the regular like 1.5, 1.0s, diggets, and stuff like that that aren't, they're kind of could be thrown with BFS stuff, but they're still that real finessey stuff. So I'm going to try to pick up on my square bill game because I talked about it before. Like my favorite thing to throw is chatterbaits and square bills, really. And I didn't really. So we're gonna try the bigger square bills. So like, say if the chatterbait bite is even on, and normally I just keep throwing chatterbaits. Wouldn't go to spinnerbaits or even square bills because like chatterbait's working, right? So on the outside of the grass line or stuff, there could be an awesome bite, and that's usually I'm gonna go with rattle trap. So I'm gonna just try to pick up my game on throwing the bigger square bills, and I'm also gonna try to pick up my game on some of the bigger spinnerbaits. I almost bought a 3/4 ounce. Was it a War Eagle? But it was just a black and blue with a big Colorado leaf at 3/4 ounce. Because here's my thoughts to help save me on rattle traps. And throwing 3/4 ounce rattle traps, I'm thinking if I get back into, because hardly nobody's doing this, slow rolling spinner baits. I mean, it's a thing. I'm sure people are doing it, but it's not a commonly talked about thing. Everybody's going finessing and downsizing. If you jump ahead of that curve, because everybody's going this way, guess what everybody's going to be throwing this year? Smaller, BFSy. BFS is the thing now. Everybody's going to be getting smaller and stuff. And I found out, trust me, I've already been down that road like 5 years ago. It works, but then it don't work. Because then once everybody starts doing that, then they'll get back on something else. So I'm trying to up my game, but also stay ahead of the curve on some of this other stuff that I think if everybody's out there throwing drop shots and shaky heads and Ned rigs and, you know, downsized stuff, that it may make sense to, you know, have that also, but then be ready to hit them with the big stuff and a lot of the old school stuff that really isn't out there. Like, not necessarily square bills. Square bills is still a popular thing right now, these OG slims and all that, but I'm talking about like spinner baits, even chatter baits. Like now, I don't know, I think I'm getting pretty good with my chatterbait game because before I never even really attempted, but it was like catching chatterbait fish when that water temps in the 40s is kind of hard to do. And I've typically been doing it like not every time I go out, but the last 2-3 times I was out, I caught chatterbait fish. So anyway, just trying to improve on everything. Chicken Fried Steak says he's never used braid to leader. No reason, just straight fluoros always worked. Oh, this Cabela's bag is, let me show you guys the thing. Here's the tag, right? Catch-all gear bag or something, and there, well, let me get it up here. There's the skew. It's made in Cambodia, not China. But this thing, they just call it a gear bag catch-all. But well, let me see. Oh man, I was gonna see if I could try to show you. Well, just look it up. Like, you'll see them, you'll find them. It does come with, and if you guys have seen any of my videos, I've had them in the videos. Me and Matt, I think Matt bought one, and then I bought one, and they, it's a very awesome bag. Oh, I'm going to have hooks everywhere. But yeah, they're like on these, and I need to get off here. I need to go to bed. Let's open these baits up. Let's compare. Let's go get a, let's just go all out. Let's go for a record breaker season. OG Slims. So these baits aren't that small. They're slim, but like they're roughly the profile of a 2.5. Now I've watched Matt. He was throwing these. You do not want to go banging these to get them cleaned off. They're kind of like the Dig It. This is stout. You're not going to break that bill, but what you'll do is you'll have them split. You got to be careful. That these aren't as tough as you would think they are. Plastic is tougher than balsa. Balsa is just wood. It is not. I think Matt just lost one of these too. Ah, that hook is sharp. Just in case you guys are wondering, that hook was very sharp. think Matt, we went fishing with, Hannah was with us, and then not Hannah's daughter, but one of her daughter's friends came along too, and she was new to fishing, and she threw, I don't even know what color it was. I want to say it was this one with a real bright orange belly. She threw it right up into the bank, and we were in the pontoon. It's kind of hard to be going up and getting in there, so she just pulled hard, broke it off, and we left it for dead. We didn't even go get it because I don't think Matt has much luck with these OG Slim ones. Maybe why they're on sale. I know I watched Dot Defoe way back in some tournament where he basically was using his homemade one. They weren't even thought about being on the market yet, and he was tearing them up. I want to say it was a color like this one. He was throwing it right by this tree, basically throwing around stand-up trees and just tearing them up. And I was like, yeah, I ain't spending $10. I mean, I got the Roccos just to try because they're true like square bill. This is more like the, we still have the chick magnet that finally caught one fish is all I've managed to catch on the chick magnet. But we got these to give it a shot. And those are definitely sharp hooks. Or Paula. So yeah, we got to make all this fit and we're going to restructure. I'll maybe try to put a video out, not in this little where I'm at, but I'll try to get basically show and talk about what I've done. If you guys haven't, I'll probably do when I'm out on the water in a boat, showing you my bags. Like I like to not have one big huge tackle box. Until I outgrew it, my favorite tackle box ever was the Plano that like you just unclip the center, the little sides opened, and it had like, I'm going to say 3 trays, like 3 size, not the biggest, and then 3 bigger trays this way, and it like folded out. So basically I could open it up and go, and then all of these baits that I had at that time were like right there. Man, I love that. Like I could just look down, oh, I'm going to try that. Ooh, I'm going to try that. And then I had all my other stuff down in the bottom, soft plastics and different stuff. And man, that was just cool. Like honestly, if there was a huge version of that you just mounted like in your boat and like locked up and left, that would be so cool. And it's kind of like they got now, but you can only do so much. Like you got even those 21-foot boats, you see them lift up and they can have the stuff hanging on the top of the lid, which is a cool idea. If at some point I get me another bass boat, I'm going to have all that. That's where most of my baits will be. That my common ones is kind of like my day box hanging up. But until that happens, which maybe never, because I kind of like my little boats. I always catch more fish out of the smaller boats. I'm going to basically have this thing rigged up kind of like that, a miniature version of the stuff I plan on using for that given fishing trip. So anyway, no questions. I guess I'm going to get out of here. Look forward. Next weekend's looking good. I'm definitely going to try to get out and go Saturday and Sunday. Saturday's looking like, I want to say mid to high 50s, somewhere in that area. And it's looking like mid to high 60s on Sunday. So there's fish should be, they should turn on any time to just be biting like crazy everywhere you go before they spawn. So far where we've been, like I said, the reservoir had 3 to 5 foot visibility. It wasn't quite as good as Lake Lafayette, but nowhere did I see any sign of fish spawning. No like hole, circle, no fish like you could visibly see up shallow. Nothing like that seems to be started yet here. So I'm hoping next weekend, like they're just now, because we had like back and forth, and the water temps are only in that high 40s. They'd gotten up to 50 a few weeks back, but then they dropped back down. We had a couple weeks of cold weather, like 2 solid weeks of cold weather. I didn't even go fishing. Charles did. He said his guides were getting iced up, and he only caught one little dink last weekend. And I knew this weekend, like, nah, this should be warm. I figured it'd be warmer than it was, but the water temps are only, they just were not quite 50 degrees yesterday. They may have gotten there today, possibly, overnight, stayed fairly warm. So anyway, I'm hoping with everything I got, we're going to get on some fish, multiple and big fish. I'm going to get with Charles, see whatever he's doing, and Matt. So anyway, get out, go bass and bonsai. Get any questions, drop them below. Maybe I should make me a chatterbait Charlie box. Right? Make up a box and sell. I could probably make up like 50 boxes and just sell my own stuff and go buy new stuff, right? All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you. I'll probably try to do one of these later in the week. I still got to edit all this footage. I've got like 1-2 days, and then 1 day with 2 trips. So basically 4 videos to get put together, probably 5. Yeah, got my work cut out for me. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.